Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the show at Rise Up Show with me, your host, the Queen Bee, Dani. How are you feeling? As we chat this morning to the devilishly handsome, the fabulously wonderful, the incredibly knowledgeable Mr. Fidel Bohill, the modern man. Good morning. Jodie Sol, good morning. Fabna Reddy, good morning. Elise Woodbine, good morning. The devilishly handsome Ian Dixon, good morning, sir.
Shut up, for fuck's sake. Jesus.
The fantastic Lizzie Jackson Barrett, good morning. Josephine Sandra, everybody, good morning. Good morning, you lot. How are you doing? Welcome to the show at Rise Up Show with me, your host, Dani Wallace. How are you? Are you okay, hun? Are you all right? How are we doing? It's Thursday. Is it Thursday? It's definitely Thursday. Is it Thursday? Kathy, is it Thursday? It's Thursday. Thank goodness for that. My God, I forgot my own name for a second there. It is Thursday. Oh, my Lord. Week number 3 of February. Cheers, everybody. This is orange juice. I said that in such a way then that made you question what's in here. I promise you, it's just orange squash. How are we doing this morning? Are you feeling good? What a show yesterday, right? Did anybody catch yesterday's show with Dr. Claire Burley? It was such a great show, an emotional show yesterday. We covered so much. We covered such an amount of ground. It was brilliant. We was talking about relationships, and we was talking about how we bring ourselves to relationships and some of the reasons why we behave we do in the name of relationships. Well, why do we do what we do? And it was so interesting. So if you didn't catch yesterday's show, please do go back and check it out. Right, we are just days away from a happening in the hive. We are just days away from move, be, get out the way. The challenge. I'm going to be challenging you next week in the IATQB hive. So this won't be part of the show. We've still got our normal show happening. We've still got all our incredible guests booked on. But 8 a.m. Monday to Wednesday next week, I'm going to be sharing some learning and sharing some tasks and sharing some space to be held for you to really focus on putting yourself front and center of your life and business again. So what I really want to be doing is looking at, are we self-sabotaging right now? Are we getting in our own way? For whatever reason, are we getting in our own way? How can we stop it? How do we get out of our own way and really grow in the space that we want to grow in this year? It's been a weird old 6 weeks to kick things off. Let's get our sleeves rolled up and look at where we could go, where we really want to go this year. Given that, you know, come the 22nd, we'll have the announcements, the roadmap will be laid out for us and all of that sort of stuff. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Rachel. Lovely to see the usual suspects here this morning. Hey, Susan. Lovely to see you here. Hi, Hannah. If you are watching, please tell me where you're watching from in the UK and indeed globally. We have a global audience. But what I would love you to do is if you are on my personal profile, Dani Wallace, I'm not going to be able to see your comments. So if you do want to come and join in this morning, make sure you get on to the Queen Bee Dani page on Facebook, or even better, the IATQB Hive in there, and they'll be able to see your comments and we can engage. We've got an incredible show this morning. One of my favorite human beings is joining us on the show this morning. We're going to be talking about some really cool stuff. So make sure that you're here for the conversation. Get to the IATQB Hive or the Queen Bee Dani page on Facebook, or indeed on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. What are the name of the other 2 books? So there are 3 books in the stable. There are 3 books. Where are they? Where's my other book? Oh, don't. Normally I have this to hand. Why have I not got it to hand? That is terrible. Where's my book? We've been tidying up. And when I say tidying up, we've been throwing everything away. Everything. Like in here now, it'll look a little bit different. So all of this has gone in the skip that was here, all this mess that was here. The bed has gone in the skip. I'm not sleeping on a mattress on the floor. But I'm not done to, because we are awaiting moving in to the new house. All right, so I'll tell you the name of the 3 books. So the first one that I normally have in my hand, like 2 hands, and as soon as we jump off it, it's in front of me. What an idiot. I've been doing some training for a group in New Zealand this morning. So I haven't just rolled out of bed for a change. Like, I have been up and at 'em since about 6:30 this morning. So I've been doing some training for a group in New Zealand, talking about some of the things in this book, which is hang on, it's back to front. I am the Queen Bee, how I overcame self-sabotage to fly anyway, and how you can too. So what we do next week as part of Move Bee, Get Out the Way is based on some of the teachings, based on some of the tips that I give within this book. And also, don't deep, I know. Deeps like this. Based on some of the things that I share. So I wrote a book on overcoming self-sabotage. It is an international bestseller. There is definitely some gold in these here hills. I'm going to be sharing some of that next week in the Move Bee challenge. You can get involved with that by going to iamthequeenbee.co.uk/Move Bee challenge. Make sure you're registered so that you're in with a chance to win some incredible prizes. We've got £250 Amazon vouchers. We've got luxury hampers. We've got IATQB merch. We've got copies of the books. All up for grabs next week. You've got to be in it to win it. I am thequeenbee.co.uk/Move Bee challenge. So this is the big book. And then this, look at this, is the little book. So this is, so if you just for comparisons like sake, so this is Closed Mouths Don't Get Fed. And Closed Mouths Don't Get Fed is, it's a little book of speaking. So as you know, I'm an international celebrity public speaking coach. I help people all over the world, 7-figure earners, celebrities, people in the media, people just starting out in business, speak their business and mission message. So I wrote a little book about it to help people. So you can get that. You can only get that from the I Am the Queen Bee website, iamthequeenbee.co.uk. So that is that. And then there is this little beauty. This is not a little beauty. This is a big beauty. This is It Starts With Me. And this is the collaboration book that me and the incredible Nikki James created off of the back of the Rockstar Level Up. It features chapters from each of these phenomenal human beings sharing their story of when they realize that life starts with them. It's such an inspirational book, and you can get that from the Amazon, or if you know one of the contributors, go and buy it from them so that they can get the royalties on it as well, because that's how we like to share the wealth. But you can grab that from Amazon as well. It Starts With Me, and this is an anthology of the magic that happens when women reclaim their strength and their stories, and it is just that. Inspiration and motivation. Inspiration and a kick up the backside with some top tips, tricks, and tools that you can use to get out of your own way, and everything speaky. So they are the 3 books that I have had a hand in, all from the stable of Authors & Co, by the way, all from the stable of Authors & Co. I'm so proud. Such a huge achievement for the last 12 months. Oh my God, 12 months, 3 books. Because I like to keep things casual, you know. But there we go. They're the books. You can go and get I Am the Queen Bee. I implore you, if you get any of my books, get that one, because I know it will be so helpful to so many of you. Go to Amazon, type in I Am the Queen Bee. It's the first thing that comes up. Grab yourself a copy and let me know, and give us a little cheeky review if you haven't already. We've got some phenomenal reviews on there, and they're just, honestly, they're jaw-dropping. The amount of people that have been helped by that book, it just has made everything that I've done worthwhile, including showing up on this show every day for you, Monday to Friday at 9:30, which is not showing any signs of slowing at all, because your girl don't slow down. We speed up. We've got bigger and better and more fantastic. And also, the guests are just phenomenal. And today is no exception. A dear friend of mine, a dear client of mine, and also one of the most clever people I know when it comes to business and business strategy. Please welcome on to the show the phenomenal Katherine Byam. Hello, you.
Hello, you. How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm buzzing this morning. I know normally my sort of default setting is relatively buzzy, but I think because I've been up and been training, and it was a really great training session, and then there's you directly after, I'm all made up with my little self. I'm dead happy.
Flame on. Let's go.
So Katherine, thank you for joining us again on the show at Rise Up Show. You came onto the show, I think it was just
October,
a little,
I think it was.
Yeah, I was going to say November, December, January, February. So yeah, just a little over 4 months ago when you was last on the show. And we was talking kind of what you were getting up to and your story and how you came to do what you do. But for those of us that haven't seen that show, tell us more about what it is that you do, because we're going to talk about something a little bit different today.
Yeah. So I'm a business sustainability strategist. It's one of my many arms. I also am a career coach, and I also support small businesses. So and I'm a consultant and all these many things. But the thing that I really have passion for is about sustainability. And that's what I'd love to talk to us about today.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I have the privilege of having you as part of our cohort for Be Inspired. So you're going to be speaking on the Be Inspired stage on the 23rd of April on day 2, talking about your story and how you came, how you came to choose the path that you've chosen with regards to business. And sustainability is, as we awaken, and there's for all the term woke is bandied around.
Exactly.
As we genuinely start to think about taking care of ourselves and taking care, therefore, of the environment and the world around us, it is something that is coming up more and more in conversation. So the vegetarian or vegan conversation is popping up. Sustainable packaging is coming up in conversation more and more and more. And you, from all of the learning that you've done, from all of the experience that you've got, which is just jaw-dropping, and we'll probably scratch a bit of that today, sustainability and creating businesses and helping businesses create sustainable arms and legs of their business as part of their underpinning foundations has become a key part of your movement, isn't it, that you're creating?
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of liken sustainability to resilience. It is fundamentally resilience. And we think about resilience as ourselves being, the self-care that we do and how we take care of our minds and our bodies. But it is more than that. It is how we take care of everything. We as coaches, we love to use the term abundance, right? But abundance means nothing if you're not sustainable, right? So if we really want to step in proudly to this place of abundance, we need to think about how do we keep regenerating. So a statistic for you: at the moment, we're burning something like 1.75 times the rate of regeneration of resources. So that means that we're going to burn through the resources.
We're running out.
Right? So I laugh, but it's really not funny. This is one of the most important things that we can think about, putting some energy and effort into. But it's not that difficult. And that's what I can talk about today. But I wanted to start with asking you a question, Dani.
I am here for this. So Kathy said to me this morning, I want to start by asking you some questions this morning. I'm like, Kathy, I am here for some questions. Talk to me. What questions do you want to ask me? Like, I'm so intrigued and excited.
So tell me what is at the top of your pyramid. So what's the most important thing that you want to achieve, reach, arrive at in life?
Okay, so I make no bones about this. This is something that I share on the regular. So coming from where I come from, the thing that I want to achieve is to help as many people, human beings, as possible realize that they can break the cycles of what they have learnt of children, so generational cycles. There is this incredible quote by a guy called Nate Postlethwaite. I'm going to find it for you because you'll love it. It's Nate Postlethwaite. It goes, "Never underestimate a cycle breaker. Not only did they experience years of generational trauma, but they stood in the face of the trauma and fought to say, this ends with me. This is brave. This is powerful. This comes at significant cost, and never underestimate a cycle breaker." So for me, the top of my pyramid, the what is success for me is for me to be able to share that message and have impact with that in mind. So I do that through things like Flying Away Foundation, through this show, through everything that I do, through helping people share their business and mission message so that they can go on and change the world in their own way as well. That for me, that's like end goal. I can go to sleep a happy lady knowing that that's my life work.
Absolutely. And how many parts can you take to get there? So I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going somewhere with this, right. I promise.
So how many paths can I take to get there? People laugh at me because I probably don't take the easiest path. I probably take the most convoluted path to get to many of the places that I get to, but I really enjoy the journey. So when you say how many paths, now I could ask for lots and lots of sponsorship and investment and things like that to draw money to me so that I can create me at the center of this movement, or I can draw people to me so that I'm just the facilitator for a bigger thing. So the way that I do it, the path that I choose to use is social media and external media to draw people to me to share that message. Yeah. And the way that I deliver that from a business point of view is I facilitate one-to-ones and courses and events to help position myself. So I can impart that learning through the courses, and that helps draw the money that we can, we can create the abundance and give back and do the charity stuff. And then as well, we share the message through the media and social media.
Yes. And why do you choose that part? So we talked about the investment.
Because I want to be on the telly, Kathy. I want to be on the telly.
And that's one of the key things. It's like we choose the parts that we choose because they give us something, right? So it's like your journey is more enjoyable because of the path you choose, right? and that's really the message. It's like there is a path that you choose every time you go through your year plan, your annual planning, etc. There's a path that you choose that is keen to who you are, right? So this is why I say success is resilience and practice, right? And we need to recognize that this is part of how you build up your story, how you build up everything that you come to be able to talk about, right? And this is what you teach us as well in our course. So with sustainability and resilience and building up your own story toward this, think about the earth in the same way, right? So it's like the earth has a path that it chooses to build itself and regenerate itself. It never produces any waste, right? It's like it never made plastics, right? Plastic is a very convenient material, but it never made plastics, even though it had all the chemistry to do it, right? And this is what the world has been doing. And as a community, we also need to think like that, right? So what's the easiest path or for us as a community? And it might not be what we think is the easiest path, but it is the part that gives you the most, I don't know, mileage, distance,
and sometimes the path of least resistance isn't sometimes the easiest path.
No, it isn't.
We're not talking about least resistant here. We're talking about actually what's the logical way of doing it. What's the way that can create sustainability? Path of least resistance creates flash in the pans. Because how do you recreate that? How do other people recreate it? And I was only half joking when talking about, the reason is because I want to be on the telly. That's not the real reason. The real reason is that I know that one person's powerful, but we're all powerful together. And that's the reason why I do it, because I like to festoon. I don't want to do it on my own. She just wants to be on the telly. It's all very self-centered. It is a bit, but still. But yeah, the path of least resistance isn't always the easiest path, because the path of least resistance is difficult to recreate, isn't it? It's difficult to multiply and scale.
I kind of like to think of the path of least resistance as being specific to you or the community that you're in, or the nation that you're in, or whatever it is, but it's a culmination of things that make it least resistant for you. So even though it might look to someone else like the harder part, it's actually the easiest part for you, because it's the part that keeps you happy. It keeps you successful every mile of the journey.
So the path of least resistance for me is going live, every day. It's easy for me. Someone might look at what it is that I do and the setup and this and creating this and go, actually, that's not easy at all. It's the easiest thing that I could think of.
So I have this community, and actually you'd be surprised at this, but today is the birthday. I have a community of 1,300 women on Facebook, all in sustainable businesses, and the community started today around a year ago, and it wasn't me that started it. So I came by this community completely by chance, and in October I started my podcast. My podcast is called Where Ideas Launch, the podcast for the sustainable innovator, and I shared this podcast in this group. And I asked people to come on to the podcast from this community. And the owner of the group looked at me and decided, listened to my podcast and decided, she knows what she's talking about. I want her to run my group. And I was like, huh?
Oh,
so she actually
this group.
It's like literally gifted to me. She's like, I will stay in the group, but you have full control. You do whatever you want. I'm not interested in any money or anything like this. Just take the group. And
that takes some people like years, doesn't it? Like building a group, but you was like gifting an audience.
I know, it's crazy. And at the time it was 500 women, and now we're 1,300 women, and it's incredible to hear their stories and how they've arrived at this place, their path, right? Their path of least resistance. Right. But it's a difficult path. It's like choosing that path still isn't easy for people in this business today. And part of it is that they're not flashy, right? So they're not the ones, like I keep trying to get them to come live and talk to me live. They're not the ones that want to come live, right? So they want to move people on a different level. So they want to appeal to this conscience that we have and stuff like this, as opposed to necessarily making it flashy. But I think they need a bit of both, but it's part of the journey that they're on.
We need some jazz hands to make sustainability sexy, I guess.
Exactly. So what I wanted to share with everyone today is like a couple of ideas that you can actually use in your own business to make yourself more sustainable. I mean, many of us, we're online today because we have a lot of online businesses. So we have digital businesses, and generally these are a lot more sustainable. But do you, for example, have a physical planner?
I don't have a physical planner because I'm terrible. I don't write in them. So I've been bought planners before, and I'm really sorry because I know loads of you love a planner, and I get it. And they're like, will you do an IATQB planner? And I'm like, I'd like to, but on the flip side, I'm a lazy shite, and also I have. I can't really describe myself as lazy, but you get what I mean. So my mum a couple of years ago came up with this beautiful planner, and it was lovely. And I got a passion planner before, and I just didn't write in it. I had it there, and it was. I did a post last night, Kathy. I don't know if you saw it or not. Shafting yourself with a should stick. Yeah. And what the planner became to me was a should stick. That was sat on my desk there, and I could see it staring at me. These are all the things that you should be doing but you're not doing, and when I have that in front of me, it makes me feel a little bit queasy. Now I know you all don't feel like that. I know lots of you love a planner, and like I'm here for you, but I have my Google Calendar that tells me what's coming up, and I have my team that do the planning in for me. I don't know if that good or bad.
No. So that's what I was going to talk about today, and it's like I know, and I acknowledge too that people really like physical planners because we have this communication that goes between writing and our brain, and we've built that communication over years of evolution. The fact that we went through school like this is how we learned, and it's difficult to break. It's difficult to break, but actually what I find is that every time I write something down, I then have to take it and transpose it into my digital stuff because I want to have it all. I want to maintain it all. If I don't do that, I lose it. Right. So I almost would encourage you to start small, right? So start incrementally to find a digital space where you can really start building up your stuff. So one of the things I use instead of a physical planner is OneNote, for example. So I use OneNote to structure all the parts of my business, and I have all my notes in there. I have links to things online that I find. I have links to emails. I can even put my Outlook or other things in there, and it helps me to organize myself without needing to write everything down and create as much paper as I do. But it's also difficult when you're working with clients, right? Because when you're working with clients, you want to jot everything down. So I think moving to a digital planner is something that's definitely more sustainable. One of the biggest issues we have right now since COVID is that we're running out of paper, bizarrely, because everybody's getting delivery. We all know how big Amazon packages are for the small package that's inside.
It's obviously not. You've just said it. It's just me. I ordered something. It must have been something like this big. It was tiny. You want to see the size of the box plus packaging on the inside, the screwed up brown
plastic
paper,
bubble and everything.
Like what's going on now?
It's a bit nuts. So
they need a bit of Kathy in their lives, don't they? Like, we need to be more sustainable, Amazon. Come on.
So this is one of the small things you could do. The other thing is slow fashion. So
Right.
That's been easier to do this year for me because it's like I have a pair of slacks that I wear every day, like it's been so much.
We've been playing pants roulette. Some days pants don't even happen. You'll be pleased to know today, Kathy, even though some days I've got pants on today. We've been able to relinquish fashion for a little while from the waist down.
Exactly, and once we get back on stream, we need to think about fashion a bit more, and it doesn't necessarily mean, we have a lot of materials out there already, so the stuff that you probably will choose to wear doesn't necessarily need to be sustainably it's got sustainable fabric, as long as it's reused or upcycled or something like this, right? And there's so many
sort of thing when you buy poor quality, you only getting one or two wears out of them. Perfect example. It felt like an economy at the time, but when I was really, really skint, I would clothe the kids, and there is nothing wrong with this, by the way. If this is what you've got to do to survive, you've got to do what you've got to do to survive. This is no judgment here, but if we're starting to wake up to this, these are active decisions that we're going to need to make. That I would get t-shirts from Primark. And these t-shirts for the kids from Primark would be £1.50. I'm thinking £1.50 for a t-shirt. That's fantastic. They would last 2 washes before they shrunk. And even though I'm washing it on 30 degrees, they're still shrinking and they're still small. And I'm not getting the wear out of them. And just paying a little bit more in the first instance meant that I wasn't having to buy again in another couple of months, a couple of washes time, another set. It's a false economy, isn't it?
Exactly. So fashion is one of the things, and there are a lot of women, like in my community in particular, who actually do recycling of even the fast fashion. So they reconstruct it, they upcycle it, they even take, it could be very pricey stuff, it could be Louis Vuitton stuff, it could be simple stuff, it could be anything, but they upcycle and they reuse and they find ways to regenerate this stuff. So that's another thing to think about, is like not just to choose your fabric and choose sustainable or fashion that will last, but also think about where you buy it, right? So it's even in your consumption habit. It's like, think ahead. Do I need an outfit for this thing that's coming up in April? This amazing show that I'm going to be guest speaking on.
Oh, which showed you could possibly be inspired. My goodness, I've heard it's an absolute blinder of a show. Congratulations, by the way.
So for example, like I've identified already, there's a lady in my community who is she designs clothes for people who are bigger in size or less standard size, let's call it this way, and I'm gonna have her make me an outfit. Like I'm really excited about this. But again, it's like I'm choosing to work with her, not just because of the fact that she's using more recycled fabrics, etc., but because she's someone making a living in a slow way, right? So she's there, she's hand knitting her stuff. She's based in Belgium at the moment, but it's like I want to help this lady out. Now I'm not saying don't help out the others. It's like there's big communities of people making fast fashion who need to be helped too, right? There's so many women in India who and Bangladesh who are now who are actually out of work because everything has slowed down because of the pandemic and stuff, right? So we also need to acknowledge that these people exist. But I really want to help, people that I get to know and people in my community who are making an honest living. So,
when we talk about buying local, it isn't even necessarily like buying local is great. So I can look out and look at all the makers and creators that are in this particular area, Preston Northwest area. But buying local is looking to small businesses who, when you buy their thing, that pays for their rent. When you buy their thing, that pays for their kids' dancing lessons. When you buy their thing, that helps them put food on the table. Like that's another community building sustainable way of helping keep people in business. And the thing is, big businesses will always find a way of employing lots of people to do what it is that they want to do. But if we're dictating to them as opposed to them dictating to us what it is that we want, if we are demanding sustainable wear, if we are demanding more food that is available to us that isn't just meat-based, if we are demanding more plant-based, sustainably farmed stuff, then that is what they will be forced to provide. It is supply and demand. And we
Exactly.
forget that we are the ones that are demanding. They've been telling us what to demand. When we take it back for ourselves, when we start to say, this is what we want, that's when people start listening. That's why now we've got areas of supermarkets that are fair trade. We've now got areas of supermarkets that are gluten-free, that are vegan, etc., etc. There is a demand for it, and it's small, but you can feel it getting bigger, can you, Kathy?
Exactly. Vote with your money. That's ultimately the message. Vote with the money that you have, and you know, the more you make, the more time you have to be able to make this kind of choice, to be honest. So it's like, you know, so as you grow in your business, you know, think more of doing this kind of thing, and think more of the role you play in influencing others to do the right thing. And I think that's really, really important.
Again, something that as we create businesses, those businesses become more successful. You then, like, all right, it may be difficult right at the very beginning to think, oh, I'm going to do everything sustainably. Please do if you can, because there are ways to do it. But then it becomes less of an excuse the more money that you make. You can't sit on there anymore and just go, oh, it's just the way that it's always been. I'm going to have single-use plastics in all of my merch or all of that sort of stuff. You've got less of an excuse and more of a responsibility, right?
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing I would say is, like, if you're doing subscription boxes, things like this, think about the sustainable players, right? Get sustainable players in those boxes. Get a story that people can resonate with, you know? So when you put something in that box, make it have meaning, you know, make it survive, you know, just that moment when they open the box, make it last. So that's what I would say about sustainability. The last longer
than the Instagram picture.
Yes, exactly. The last bit would be around waste. So, you know, there's this whole idea of the circular economy. And, you know, the way we have done things in the past has been take, make, waste, right? And actually, we roughly recycle something like 10% of everything that goes into the process. Right. So basically only 10% we regenerate. And now this idea behind the circular economy is, can we get to a point of regenerating everything? So can we get to a point of finding another use for every single thing that we do every single time? So we create, in this way, we create more value for the consumer as well. So one of the things in circular models is stuff like renting things instead of owning them, right? So you know, Airbnb did a great job with this when they started their thing. But they also have places that, you know, to, you know, renting your car or renting a space in your car because you're taking a trip, like blah blah car and stuff like this. But all of these are kind of circular type of models that help you to do more sharing, do more collaboration, do more with the same. Let's call it that way.
Instead of creating and generating more that is essentially what going to do, go in landfill or pollute or etc.
So what I would encourage you to do as business owners is to think about what's coming out as waste from what it is that you're doing. And as digital owners, we probably don't have a lot of waste. We can probably be more energy efficient. So we can, you know, switch things off, you know, be more sensible about how much we store and save. That do we need to save it all, because all of that costs energy. But we can also think about any waste that's being generated by the things that we do. And that waste, think about how you can eliminate it. Right. So this is an important part of getting there. So I guess it's about getting more familiar with this, you know, doing the knowledge piece. There was this program that I watched that I want to recommend to everybody. It's called Living the Change on Amazon, and it goes to New Zealand. So maybe your friends have seen this. but they talk about regenerative agriculture, and basically there are people who have farms, and they're not very big farms, but they're sizable enough property where they have every possible life cycle of plant that they can get in. So not necessarily every plant, but every type of plant. So they have, you know, high trees, they have the next level of trees, they have the shrubs, they have the flowers, they have everything. And since they started to do that, there's a lot more bees coming to their property, a lot more birds, you know,
they're creating whole ecosystems based on actually what would be in the wild if it was left to just grow, right?
Exactly. And then the other thing that they do is they do time banking. So instead of selling their service for, you know, X price, everybody's service is considered to be the same price. And you store up time in the bank when you give a service. And then you could take that time in the bank to use for a service you want to receive. So suddenly everyone is treated the same. Now this is stuff that, you know, it's probably way out there, and it's probably unique to some small communities. But it's interesting.
The more small communities that do this, the more sustainable these communities can be, right?
Yes,
And and the more that we explore this, because the thing is that, you know, there's been, you know, talk in the past of communism and communist states and things like that, and it hasn't worked because humans are flawed.
Yes.
Because we're so different and our needs and wants are different, it's hard to create whole nations. But the thing is, if we look at biology is something that we always keep coming back to. We aren't nations of people. We are nations of people, but actually we are small villages and we are small tribes that come together. And actually that's where the microeconomy works. Is within those little sustainable pods. And that's not to say we can't feel humanity as a bigger thing. But actually, how does the sustainable work? Well, actually, if we went back to our roots, how we're designed to be, we're designed to be in those smaller communities. And you know, it's such a funny dynamic. It's such a funny waking up to do. And the waking up is actually coming back to ourselves. I find it fascinating.
Yeah, it's also important to recognize and reflect that it's only been in the last 60 or so years that things have really gone crazy. Right. And it's not like we've always been this way. Like when I go home to visit my mom, she's still in her garden, right? She's still there plucking away at flowers and growing her pineapples and all this sort of thing, right? So it's really in our lifetime we have created a situation that's unbearable for the planet. And we really need to, and our kids, the good thing is our kids are becoming more aware. They're being taught this in school probably younger than we were. When we were in school, you know, we heard about making money.
That's what we need. We learned about going to uni at the very least. That was the goal. You go to college and then you go to university, then you go and get a job. The end. And there was not much else around that, and it had to be academia. And if you had vocational work, hands-on work, that actually, arguably, you know, we need the academics 100%, but we need the hands-on to make stuff happen. And we need to develop that even more. That's something we need more agriculture being taught at school. We need more sustainability to be taught at school.
Yes, absolutely.
It's interesting. A project that I'm involved with that's coming up is about social change, and one of the things that I'm going to be involved with is education and the education side of that. And again, it's something that I find absolutely fascinating and abhorrent with our current education system, is that we don't look at those things. If I look at in homeschooling, they're not chasing me for anything creative for my children. They're chasing me for maths. They're chasing me for Pythagoras theorem that I've never used outside of outside. And I understand there's a place for it, but is there? Like, where is the space for it? How much space have we got to give this stuff? I just think that, again, we're in this waking up period. This is not being woke. This is not becoming snowflakes. This is being grown-ups. This is we are not big baby humans going around, man, I want this and I want it now. Like that's what we've become, big babies, big grown-up babies, wanting our every whim catered to. So how do we come through the other side of that and realize that we are just for change?
And you know, it's like I don't knock technology. Like, I understand the pressure on math today, because I think we're at a point in our history where we get to create everything anew, right? We get to rethink and redesign everything that we've kind of let happen, right? And we've kind of let a lot of things happen.
Of the whole world, like,
exactly, and that needs certain skills, right? It needs people who. You need both. So you need the combination. They call it STEAM now, right? So it includes the arts, it includes the creativity, and that's what we need to combine. We need to find ways to harness all of the science and the artistic viewpoints to create something completely fresh and new. And it's the best time. It's like it's the best time to design green. So I look forward to seeing how technology helps us reshape this story as well, and it's one of the things that I'm into, right? So
and I look forward to seeing how I mean, you supporting these phenomenal people in that particular group, how that blossoms into the outside world, how they use that community and how you lead that community to And please do, if this is something that you're interested in, if this is something you need to learn more about, sustainability within your business, as it grows and scales, it's a brilliant community to be a part of. You can do lots of incredible learning in there, and being connected with Kathy is honestly one of the lights of my life, learning more about these things.
It's called Women. It's called Women in Sustainable Business if you're looking for it on Facebook.
Women in Sustainable Business. Please do go and check it out, and do, get in touch with Kathy. That's just one string on your bow of many talents. And I 100% advocate having Kathy in your life will only make it richer. So please do go and check her out. Hang on a second. What's Rachel saying? My kids used to attend school where they grew vegetables. Yeah, but it's almost like a flash in the pan. They almost like talk about it on one lesson at one time in year 3.
Yes.
Instead of, this is something that we tend to every week as part of our learning. This is something that we grow and create, and there's harvest, and we harvest. We don't do any of that. It's like they do it in a one-off.
Yeah.
Like I remember learning in biology, we put butter beans on some
tissue.
Yeah. And we learned, and that was great. And then what? We had cress for our egg and cress sandwiches, and then brilliant. But there's so much more to be done. But thank you for doing that work in your corner. There's also your podcast Where Ideas Launch, as well. International top achieving.
Yes, it's now charted in 46 charts, Dani. I've now been in 46 charts. I've been top 10 in 11 charts, and that's 10 different countries, but 11 different charts. It's been incredible, and it's still going on. And I interviewed a girl last week from North Macedonia. So it's like there's so many international people now interested in being a part of the show, and it's great. It's really exciting.
And again, one of the great things about you, because you have traveled internationally, starting in Trinidad and then across the world, that you have an appeal, an international appeal. So the people that you work with, lots of us, and even you watching now, it's almost like we're in this little bubble, this little ecosystem of our own in one corner of the world. And what knowing you is that opened up the scale of what we can possibly do with the change that we want to be, and you attract such an international audience. So congratulations to you for the podcast Where Ideas Launch. Please do go and check that out. It's all on the Spotify and everywhere as well.
Yes.
You can find it in all of the usual places, but please do go and check out Kathy's group. Go and check out Katherine anyway. She's amazing. I love her. But yeah, thank you for the work that you do, certainly for sustainability within business. It's something we do need to think more about, and thank you for coming to the show, Rise Up show this morning.
Thank you for having me, Dani.
Always. Again, another wicked conversation this morning. We don't hold back when it comes to topics that we put onto the table, and the more topics that we bring to the table, the topics that we should be thinking about, the topics that actually can really make a change with the world, are the things that I want to be sharing with you. So if you have got something to speak about in any of those fields, it's all well and good. We could talk about mindset to the cows come home. I'm very, very lucky that we know lots and lots of mindset coaches, but there's only so much stepping into our power that we want to think about before we actually start thinking about the bigger picture. Members of the LGBTQ plus community, members of the Black community, members of the sustainable community, veganism, vegetarianism, members of the fat community, people with varying abilities. Please do come to the table and share your incredible stories with us. You are most welcome on the show at Wise Up Rise Up Show. To get onto the show, Wise Up Rise Up Show, all you need to do is be on my mailing list. So you go to iamthequeenbee.co.uk. At the bottom there, pop your email address in, and we will send you details of how you can get involved and apply to be on the show. That's it for this morning. Make sure you are signed up for the Move Be Challenge. Move Be, get out of the way, kicks off on Monday. You've got to be in it to win it. It is completely free to take part. There is no pressure, but it's going to be pretty effing epic. iamthequeenbee.co.uk/Move Be Challenge. Make sure you go there. Follow me at the Queen Bee Dani on the Instagram. Come and join us in the free community, the IATQB Hive. It stands for I Am the Queen Bee. You're the Queen Bee too, or the King Bee, or the Royal Bee, the Sovereign Bee, shall we say. Thank you for joining us on the show at Wise Up Rise Up Show. I'll see you tomorrow at 9:30 for some more. Tra.